instilled in them that most of the time they take to. So again, it's critical that we're intentional about building these bonds. It will not happen by chance, especially in a blended family situation. It will not just jump on the family. It's in this situation, that's one of the peculiarities of it, right? You're not friends because you see each other and like each other. In a traditional friendship situation where, oh, I see this person, I like this person, and you get along and maybe you have things in common. In a blended family situation, you're introduced to each other. I mean, you're literally you're put on each other. So you have to be intentional about building the bonds, especially where people are coming from different backgrounds, different experiences.
Tolani.
Yes,
sorry,
can you hear me?
You can share your slides. No, sorry.
Right.
Yeah, sorry.
Right. And finally, from me, I would say to be truly happy, we have to wholeheartedly agree with each other, loving one another and working together with one mind and purpose. And what is that purpose? To be family, right? In a blended family situation, family is not just the husband and wife. Family is not just the child that comes from that union. Family is everything that is associated to that union, right? And the focus has to be to blend, right? To grow, to nurture, and to remain family. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so very much for the teaching. I would first want to apologize for the forth and back with post and sharing the slides and all of that. Praising Child is in transit, and she had requested that we stand in for her. And when rookies are doing the thing, it can sometimes be like hard. Okay, so thank you, Sister Tolani, and my dear sister Olanike. I think right now you can stop sharing your slides so we can see everybody's face.
Sure.
Okay. And we might,
it's
if somebody,
time.
Yeah, so we're going to question now. Yeah, so if anybody needs to see a particular part of the slide or make reference to it, you can bring it back. You are still
sure.
okay.
Sure.
All right, so we can see everybody's face. All right, so if we have any question for our presenter today, the floor is opened now. We can ask our questions. Thank you. Any questions about what she just taught today or what she's been, this is a continuity of the same topic. Your question might be from the last time, maybe from today. Any question that you might have, please, let's ask our question now. Any question right now? It may not be a question. Oh, sorry, Sister Nike, you said something.
Okay, Sister Tolani, at the beginning you said something on agreement and harmony. And I know you mentioned those two words particularly. So yeah. I was looking at the word agreement. Sometimes this thing about when it comes to family issue, most often they feel the female should be the one to you said something like, okay, somebody might just say, okay, for maybe for peace to reign. And if only one agreement has to be between two or more people, only one person cannot be agreeing, right? But most often you see it in a way that one person might make a rule. The fact that I succumb to your rule does not mean I agree with your rule. And then most often we feel the female should be the one to the female person, maybe the woman in the house, should be the one to, maybe under this word submission or whatever, should be the one to always agree. There is the difference between agreeing with something and then actually, how will I put it now? That I can agree out of duty. I can agree out of the word, okay, you are the woman, you're supposed to submit, you're supposed to obey out of obedience. But when the word harmony comes into it, it has to be a mutual, as in something that is something that I don't want to use the word agree again. Something that we both connect, that we both believe in. Let me use the word believe in. But most often in Nigeria setting, let me use Nigeria setting as an example, there is this thing about agreement being a one-part agreement. The other person is just agreeing due to obeying or submitting. So how does this? Sorry, have you been hearing me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, because
Yes, we can hear you.
my network was all like, I hope I've not just been talking since.
No, we can
Do
hear
you get
you.
what I'm trying to say, ma'am?
Yes,
I thought you wanted to ask a question now. You were going to
Yes, it's actually a question.
Okay, sorry. If I get your, So
what do you have to say about that?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sorry, can you repeat the question again for me?
Okay, I said you mentioned the word agreement and harmony at the beginning for a blended family. So I was looking at the word agreement. That sometimes agreement has to be between two or more people. One person cannot be agreeing with himself or herself. Do you understand? But sometimes when it comes to agreement, some agreements based on obedience, agreements based on submission, especially on the part of the woman. You're saying something like maybe for peace to reign or for things to actually go on. So, and that such agreement does not actually come with harmony. Yes, that's the word. Such agreement does not really come with harmony. But it's agreement based on, okay, I have to obey or I have to submit or for peace to reign. So we issues like that always come up, especially in a blended family, and it is always on the part of the woman who bears it all.
Okay. So the question is, who bears it all, or what my thoughts are?
What your thoughts are on that?
Okay.
As in the word agreement and harmony.
Okay. So, in every situation, right? What is the focus and what is the goal? In a blended family situation, and based on what we're discussing today, I remember we said that, living in harmony, right? That's the goal. And living in harmony is, because we've agreed to be family. And what are the requirements to be family, right? What do we need to put into the equation to remain, family, to grow as family, to bond as family? A lot of these things are, love, compromise, forgiveness. Remember I mentioned earlier that you may have to not necessarily express your opinion at all times. You don't lose it. But sometimes you would have to, just suspend some things part time and compromise from time to time to achieve the goal. There has to be a goal, right? But all the parties in that blended family situation have to be committed to doing this. So it shouldn't just be the woman, right? It has to be all the parties, the man, the woman, and the children involved. If we say in Nigeria, in Africa, it's usually more of the woman, then that's another dimension. That's cultural, right? And that would not just be in a blended family situation, even in a traditional families, even in the work, in most spheres of life, in Africa, maybe women are, marginalized. I believe that is changing, by the way. But in this situation that we're in and discussing tonight, the goal is to remain family, and we would have to compromise from time to time, right? We would have to constantly forgive each other. would have to constantly introduce love into the equation. And we went through the definition of love earlier. It doesn't keep record of wrongdoings. It desires the best in every situation. It thinks the best of everything, right? I know it sounds like a sermon, but practically we have to apply these things. We have to. Sometimes we're going to have to deny ourselves of some things for the goal. But there has to be accountability, right? Desiring harmony and pursuing harmony and, committing to harmony does not mean that you die and you do not exist, right? Of course, you will die to self, but it doesn't mean that you are deprived of. So remember, we're agreeing towards something, and where accountability comes in is, what are we agreeing to? This is brought to the table, it is discussed, and together, all the parties say, okay, this is what we're trying to achieve. And sometimes you won't be happy with that, but as a team, as a unit, we've agreed to it.
Okay, so just so you can take everything together, you have I don't know if Sister Nike is satisfied with the she got your drift already from answering the question that you asked. So if you would add this to the is because it's in the same line. Are you saying that when you have said the purpose is to remain a family, in a situation where both of them differ on what to do, this is not like is wrong, this is not wrong, this person's idea is not wrong, this person's idea is not wrong, but they are different, they are divergent. How do they have harmony in such situation? And they needed to make a decision as to which way to go. The man's opinion is different from the woman's opinion. The man's opinion is not wrong. The woman's opinion is not wrong. It's not a sin. It's not a sin. How? What would you advise them to do? Maybe before you answer that question, let's Sister Busola. I'm sorry, I don't know who. Busola Oyerinde too is having her hands up or his hands up. Let them ask their question too. It might just be related, so you can take everything together. Thank you.
Good evening, house. It's a question I have. I wouldn't know if you have actually mentioned something in this line before I joined. Well, what's coming into my mind is, in a blended family, I guess we are discussing children from different, maybe from different.
We've done it 6 days ago now. It's not live.
Yes.
Yes. And I missed it.
Are we on?
Go on.
Yes,
go
please
ahead.
carry
Go
on.
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me? What's coming to my mind is, in a blended family, you have the family, probably you have children from previous marriages, right? Am I in line?
Yes.
Yes, you're correct.
Now we want to have harmony, but some children that we bring into this family happen to be related to other people outside this family.
Correct.
Their ideals are actually different from our ideals here. And we're trying to run a harmonious family, but they actually have to relate with the external life, which eventually interferes with the internal life. And there is this conflict here and there. We want to be together, but there's this interference. How do we handle it?
Right. Thank you very much.
Okay, so sorry, ma'am, before you answer those questions, I will just add just one more. And we've looked at it from the point of the adults. Now I want to look at from the point of the child that is in the blended family. Now, because I've seen cases where children who lived in a blended family have lived with these cars and the scar still affects them even in adulthood. Now, a child in a blended family, some of them feel, even though they are in the family, they feel like an outsider.
Sure.
Or sometimes they are made to feel like an outsider. And that actually affects their mental stability in the long run. So sometimes a child in a blended family, how does a child in a blended family who does not have an option, but has to that family, how does the child have to, how would the child relate as knowing that you have this sense of being an outsider even in the family?
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you. So I'll start with Mr. Asukome. I'll start with the very first question, which is a divergent view, opinions on how something should be achieved. They're both not right. Sorry, they're both not wrong, but I mean, they're both, they have different views. I mean, there can't be two captains on a ship, right? We have a destination, and the destination is shore. We're going to shore. We're sailing to a country. As the captain, I might decide, captain, yes, I might decide to go through the north to get to the destination or the south to get to the destination, and I would eventually get there. In a situation where the man and the woman have different approaches, different opinions, again, we need to go back to the drawing board to what is the goal, right? What is the goal and what is the objective? The routes might be different, the approach might be different, but if we're going towards, if at the end of the day is to achieve that goal, remember earlier we talked about accountability, we talked about transparency, and we talked about agreement. And we also mentioned the word goal. Once the goals are defined, those goals have to be defined. Once we can agree on the goal, the route and the approach may not always be identical. And part of desiring harmony and living in harmony is, okay, this approach, I'm not in agreement with this approach, but it will achieve the same goal. One person would have to succumb for the other. You can't have two captains on the ship. The second question was about external influence and internal influence. In a blended family situation, most of the time that is the situation, right? That is a peculiarity of a blended family, and that's something that needs to you're constantly faced with this, right? Now, the way I would advise, my suggestions or thoughts on that kind of situation is, in a situation where a child has two parents, one parent lives outside of their home and another parent lives with the child at home, then sometimes there are two roles, right? Two opinions, two perspectives. A child needs to, especially when it's a child, right? Not an adult now, but the child needs to be taught and learn the fact that when you're here, these are the rules and regulations, right? And this is what applies. And this is why this applies here. That conversation has to be had, right? And not only with the child, also with the other partner, right? Again, the word harmony comes to play here. The two parties have to try very hard. I know it's usually very difficult, especially the adults need to try very, very hard to focus on what is important for the child, or whatever it is that they still have in common. Yeah, it's not only children. It might be business, it might be property, it might be asset, whatever it is, right? But taking out the emotions and trying to get even with each other, and trying to malign each other, or trying to use the child as a pawn and all that, putting all that to the side. Why is this principle applicable? Why is this value applicable? Why is this rule applicable, right? Why? Why am I saying a child should be in bed by 9 and you're saying the child is okay, the child can be the child can be up to 1 a.m. in the morning, right? This is the reason why. Now, if the parent that says, that child can be up to 1 a.m. in the morning, it doesn't matter. And when the child is with the other parent, they are staying up to 1 a.m. in the morning. When the child is back with the other parent, the 9 o'clock rule has to apply. Now, there would always be some sort of conflict and, struggle from time to time. But when the values are right, when the principles are right, then, either parent has to stand their ground. Unfortunately, there would be conflict from time to time. But I think communicating with both parties, both with the child and the other parents involved, it's one of the many things that can be done in that situation. And to the last question, when children feel like an outcast, if we're not intentional as adults, every child in a blended family situation will feel like an outcast. I repeat that. If we're not intentional as the adults involved in that situation, because what is making the child feel like an outcast? The actions and the inactions of the adults involved, of the parents involved, right? That is usually what leads to feelings of rejection, feelings of uneven treatment, or even, actual ill treatment, not just feelings, deliberate ill treatment. So we're listening to this, we're learning, we're reorientating ourselves that we have to be very intentional with these things, right? Even when you don't mean to be that way, sometimes your actions turn out that way. So if you know you're in a blended family situation, or considering it or been there in the past, then you have to be very intentional about creating an inclusive environment, right? Creating inclusivity in that situation so that the child involved, right, would not grow up to become a scarred adult. Sometimes is the child also being difficult and not wanting to be, not wanting to blend into the family, not wanting to comply. So it's not always the adults, even though it's more on the adult side in this particular question that has been asked. So when a child is constantly recalcitrant or being difficult, I mean, over time, you have to give it time. You have to be patient. You have to be consistent. Any child that is shown love and being in an environment and atmosphere of love eventually would succumb. And even when they remain difficult, it's registering, is there somewhere that I'm being mean to this woman. I know children who are very mean to their stepmothers on purpose, deliberately, right? They want to ruin the marriage of their dad and their stepmother because they're so upset that something happened to their mom. But over time, right, the stepmother involved has to be the intentional adult and be the intentional parent, right? It's a situation you found yourself. So you have to, look away from the, not very pleasant behavior of that child and focus on what we're trying to achieve, which is to be a family. Those are my submissions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much.
Sister Tolani, please, how does one help such a child? Assuming such a child comes to you and who feel like an outcast in a blended family, how do you help such a child?
Right. Okay.
Hold
So
on. Sorry, before you take that, do we have any other question, any other person? I would usually like you taking all the question in cluster so you will not so we can maximize our time. Any other question, clarification, or anything? All right, you can go ahead if there is none.
All right. Again, you only have access to the child in this situation, I would imagine. Not the parents and the adults involved. So again, counseling, encouragement, support, where you can, getting that child into, the right support systems. Right support system doesn't mean you're disconnecting the child from their home or their parents, and that should never be the case. But perhaps, a support system, maybe a community, a group, or, even you yourself, where that child at least feels a sense of love, acceptance, acceptance. And, just counseling is very, very important. helping that child to see that, yes, you may be experiencing this at home right now, but that's not your identity. That's not who you are, right? And you shouldn't, um, pay evil for evil. If you understand what I mean, it's not an easy situation, right? Because again, even after you put that child in a support system, maybe fellowship, maybe school, and so on and so forth, they still have to go back home to face the music, right? Which is sadly the case for some situations. Just more counseling, more love, more prayers. I cannot overemphasize the importance of prayers. And where possible, hopefully the parents involved also come to the realization of the things they're not doing right. In that situation, you have to be careful. I know of a situation where a pastor got involved and um, the man actually took his son out of the church, right? So a support system where the child was getting love and attention, when father was told off for his wife wasn't looking after the boy properly, he got obsessed with everybody. So with the adults, you have to be very careful. Thank you very much.
Wow. So there can be situations where even adults are behaving like children, and they are the ones that need to be put on a latch on their. All right. Do we have anyone with any clarification? Thank you so very much, dear speaker, for today. It's been an educative section. Do we still have any question, any clarification, any addition, any opinion that somebody needs to or share with us? Anyone? Okay. I think that will mean there isn't any um any well, one of the things that there are quite a number of things that you said today that are very, very helpful. And I hope it's just that I know we didn't start to record early enough, but the few part of it that we recorded would be maybe when a prison child is when she's able to do it, she'll put it on YouTube and maybe share it on the platform for everyone to the question I asked the other time, and I'm glad the way you answer it, but I just want to say one thing about it again, which is um, sometimes truly, we may have divergent opinion, which are not wrong. Yeah, thank you. Which may not be wrong, but like you said this when you were starting, that before you even come into the relationship, there must have been some form of agreement, some form of set values, this is the way we're going to do this is the way we're going to do this. And I think I would just want to say that when myself and my wife were still even courting, we had conversation around this kind of thing, that we may come to a point in this relationship, in this marriage, even relationship, or even when we get into marriage, where you have an opinion about something, I have an opinion about something. I'm not wrong, you're not wrong, but we both know where we are going. Under the umbrella that we are operating, which is God's umbrella, it's not because I'm the man. I would want us to agree to take my opinion. Let's run with it. Now, it doesn't mean that is the way everybody should do it. Somebody might say that, okay, because you talked about love also, love does not put forth his own thing. Love is not selfish. You can also say, okay, you know what? Let's do your own. But where love is truly, even sometimes when the person who is the man says, you know what? Let's do yours. Let's do it your way and see where it takes us. I will support you. We'll see it. The other person will say, oh, you know what? You are the man. Let's do it your way. So I am just saying that it is an agreement that needs to have been reached before you come to that point most of the time. Otherwise, it might not be that simple to just say, well, we know where we're going, and and it might still be a problem. So I don't know if you have any response to that before
Yeah.
wrap it up
I
today.
want to say something that she mentioned something that it is also a matter of love. And then I was thinking about Nigeria in particular, the percentage of blended family do we have in Nigeria? And I was just because like I said before, I never thought of the word blended. I just saw it as normal. Somebody living with somebody. You're living with somebody. That is, to me, it has become a norm. So I never thought there is a name for it. It's like a normal thing to me. Because I remember I have a cousin who lived with us since when she was 4. And if not that our surname was different, nobody ever knew that she was not part of our family. We always call her our last born. And even when she grew up, she had to go and visit her own mother. She could hardly stay a week with her mother. She would run back home. Even to the point of when she was getting, we were the one that was there. So the family she ever knew was us, even though she knew she had a mother somewhere outside, which she sees once in a while. And then there was another person that lived with us who we showed the same love to, but it's turned negative for us. So sometimes these things happen, and then is in this our generation that is now become a generation of is a nuclear family, no extended. You know, in those days, somebody living with somebody, it was a normal thing then. And like it is now that now it's just me, father, mother, and children. That is the kind of family we are having now. So, like you said, it is love. And sometimes it can be reciprocated, it might not be reciprocated.
Sure.
All right, let's give her a chance to
that...
respond. Let's give her a chance to respond very quickly.
Okay.
So we can
Completely agree to that. I mean, everything has two sides, good and bad. So if you are in a blended family situation, it's not guaranteed that everything will turn out, all nice and sweet at the end of the day. But you have control over yourself and not the other person. Remember that you are the one committing to playing your own role, right? Towards harmony, towards, the principles of love, towards building and bonding and, blending that family. We have situations where even when all those things are put in place, one person just decides to see things differently. One person just decides to remain an outcast. Everything that you have sown in the place of love is thrown back at you and seen as opposite. But you as an individual, right, commit to playing your own part and, showing love.
Thank you very, very much. God bless you. It's been an awesome evening for some of us in that part of the world where it's this evening. And for me here, it's afternoon. It's been an awesome afternoon. Thank you so very much. Let me, the prison child had asked that we should announce this. I think we'll be continuing this next week. And that next week, which will be what date is that? That will be 22nd will be our last. Well, sorry, next week is going to be Thanksgiving. It's going to be Thanksgiving meeting. So it's going to be Thanksgiving and that will be on the 22nd of December. And that will be the last meeting for the year. And after that, we'll be meeting on the 12th of January, 2024. I pray that there will be none of us here who is part of this group that will be missing before that time in the name of Jesus. So we will look forward to that on the 12th of January, where we're going to, we look forward to next week, and then after that, the 12th of January. So that will be it for this evening. Do you have a closing word before we say our anchor word?
Okay, I just have a few scriptures that I want to share.
Okay.
In line with our, conversation tonight. A few of it. I paraphrased some of it, but I want us to, just live with these words in our head. The Bible says that it is good and pleasing for brothers to live together in harmony, right? Be in harmony with one another. Do not have a high opinion of yourselves, but Be in agreement with people. Do not give yourselves an air of wisdom. Nobody knows it all. Be truly happy by agreeing wholeheartedly with each other, loving one another, and working together with one mind and purpose. Joy is complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being in one spirit and of one mind. And I would leave you with these passing words. Blended family situation, nuclear family situation, traditional family situation, harmony, love, and peace is the way to go. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so very much. Yes, those scriptures, you paraphrase them.
Yes.
For some of us, we may go and look for where. I think I picked two of them.
Oh, okay. I can tell you where they are.
Okay, good.
I can tell you where they are.
Okay.
How good and pleasant it is hold on, let me just
133.
where I wrote it. 133, I think.
Yes, 133.
Hold on, please. Okay, so the first is 133 verse 1, Psalm 133 verse 1. The second one that I shared is in Romans 12:16.
Okay, Romans 12:16.
The third one that was shared is in a different translation of Romans 12:16.
Okay.
Philippians 2:24. Sorry,
Yeah.
Philippians 2:2-4.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Thank you. So, is there another one?
Oh yeah, there's a final one.
Okay.
I paraphrased, but I got it from a Bible verse.
Okay.
Philippians 2:2. So
Okay.
I used two different translations for Philippians 2:2. So Psalm 133 verse 1, Romans 12:8, and Philippians 2:2.
Okay. Thank you so very, very much. God bless you. And may you be replenished in Jesus' name. Sister Olanike, anything before we wrap it up?
Just to say thank you to her, that I've learned something new again tonight. As always, God bless you, ma.
Right. Amen.
Thank you.
Praising child is not here. Yeah, it's to force some of us to talk. I know she will go around and say, so person. Sorry. She's not here today. All right. So who is going to take us in our anchor word, vision, okay, let me just lead us. Okay, so I live in love.
I live in love.
Okay. I stay in peace.
I stay in peace.
I shine my light. I use my power. So help me God. All right, let's do it again. I live in love.
I live in love. I stay
in
in
peace.
peace. I shine my light. And I use my power.
So help me God. Amen. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Next week, Thanksgiving. Don't forget, 22nd of this month. God bless you. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
Yes, my good night, mommy.
Good night.